All right, welcome to episode 4, it is, I believe, of the year-long backtesting session with my goal of getting hundreds and hundreds and thousands of reps in as quickly as possible. Obviously, backtesting is not a replacement for live trading, but there's lots of downtime outside of the markets, and it's of my opinion that the reps that we get in backtesting do benefit us live trading. Some of the things that can happen is we can get more data. We can collect more examples of our model. We can see what works, what doesn't work. We can try different things. We can see how price ebbs and flows over periods of times. I've been blown away by what I've observed so far backtesting, like how you can have really red months, average red months, and really nice and green months. So we can see the results so far. As I'm going back, I started in February here. We had a minus 520, minus 2R. March was minus 3R. And then here, April was up 10R. May was up 10R. And then look at June. Like, I've had a lot of trouble finding what I feel are quality trades in June. So these are patterns that are much easier to see when you condense trading into small windows. And so I'm super happy to be doing this. They say 10,000 reps to master something. So I'm just trying to get my reps into that. So that said, yeah, the last few sessions have been so slow. You can see how few trades I've been in. I'm only up 2R on this month so far. So I think what I'm going to do for this last week of the month here, I'm going to become a little more aggressive with my trading. For example, I saw setups all throughout here, but they weren't A+, so I didn't take them. And I noticed a number of them were winners. So I'm going to kind of walk that line a little bit. I kind of have been very particular in this backtesting session, taking to the best of my ability A+ setups that are clear, that I can confidently see. And I think what I'm going to do now going forward, at least for a little while to collect some data, is I'm going to be a little more lax on my criteria for what I define a quality setup to take. And I have some tracking that I'm going to be doing where, see if I can pull this up real quick, where I'm going to be looking at if I'm hesitant to take the trade or not, if I execute on it, if I'm hesitant, and if it's a winner or loser, and the reason why I was hesitant. Reason why hesitant. Maybe it higher time frame didn't look good or didn't have all the confirmations I wanted to see. And I just want to track this, like, so this is like hesitant. I'm going to say skip, right? So if I skip it and I'm hesitant, I'm going to track to see if it's a winner or loser, etc. And this will kind of help me hone in what I believe to be a good enough quality setup. I think I've gone too far to the extreme and I'm having trouble finding perfect trades. So that said, well, let's get into it. So to start off with, we're looking at June 23rd. Let's go to the calendar. We have PMI, Fed Chair Powell testifies, unemployment claims, and core PCE. Okay, so nothing too major this week. I'm going to hide my face. All right, recording. So let's go ahead. Looking at the weekly time frame. Again, I backtest a little different than I live trade. I don't draw everything out. Backtesting, it just takes way too long. So what we have here is we have so far bullish delivery. We're coming close to these all-time highs, these relative equal highs. We can see that this week opens. There's no tail on the candle. So we expect probably for the week to trade down before it trades up. A couple of clues here. We have a tail, lacking a tail on the candle. We have taken previous week's low already. And so this is 8 a.m. Monday, basically. We have lots of inefficiency in here. But my expectation would be, and it can do whatever it wants. Like if there's an SMT, and maybe we should even check to see if ES or YM has already taken this high. So we have no SMT. Okay, cool. So really, I'm gonna lean on bullish, though noting it's overextended. We have these inefficiencies down below, devil's mark right there. Moving on to the daily so far, just kind of consolidating upwards. It looks a little like it wants to roll over. But not tons of information on the daily. The 4-hour chart, we can see 4 hours bullish. We're in a bearish retracement in a bullish market. 1 hour is obviously going to be bullish. So we do have a 1 hour change in state of delivery right here. Change in state of delivery. But I'm going to imagine that's going to get run out. We do have a nice stop hunt right here for sell side, and then again another nice stop hunt down here. So in a bullish market, we assume that manipulations below lows, or price going below a previous low, is a manipulation. So what's this, 18 o'clock? So Sunday open tapped into some liquidity. So we're on the 1 hour. I kind of want to pull up YM and ES here. So we do have bullish SMT down at these lows. And these come into, there is a little fair value gap right there. Taking 4 hour liquidity. So it's possible this was the low and it's going to continue. Let's zoom into the 15-minute. All right, so crazy new week opening gap right there. Looks like we've already flipped it. I want to mark midnight open, so you can see how little annotating I actually do. I just add onto my charts what I need for what I call locally or near-term time frames. So we have no news on Monday. Yeah, no news, or 9:45, excuse me, I was wrong. Get that marked out. So we need to pay attention for that. All right, dropping down to the 1 minute. So currently, price is just floating. Here's a bunch of trend line liquidity we want to pay attention to. So if it's bullish, we would expect 930 to drop and then for some continuation. But let's get moving and see what happens here. All right, got some movement in the 850 macro. Chances are we'll be waiting for this red folder to pass. All right, 930 opens up, delivers bearishly, nice and bearishly. Okay. Continuing down, a retest of the midnight maybe. Okay, so we need to check this out a little bit better. So 930 did this pretty reasonable manipulation ahead of this red folder. Grab that tail, that devil's mark. See this 1 hour candle without a tail. So we got that. We got a 1 hour fair value gap. We got a tailless candle on the 1 hour. We do have a 4 hour fair value gap. We took that low. We've created all these equal highs up in here, or excuse me, this trend line liquidity. Really, to me, this looks pretty good except for the red folder. We just need to check to see if there's SMT. So we do have bullish SMT. The assets appear to be relatively in sync. So I actually think this is a pretty okay setup. So we have some pretty strong volatility in here. I'm going to mark out this high. Not buy stop. What am I looking for? BSL. Does anyone see BSL? SSL? BSL. There it is, right below my mouse. So what I'm kind of anticipating, the 930 manipulated into a higher time frame level, taking a ton of liquidity. I'm assuming that the red folder is going to be continuation. The gap's pretty huge. I think that I think I'm just going to mark it in with a larger stop and hope this plays out, especially with the red folder coming after. So 3. It's going to mark it by 3 here. And there we go. And we're inside the macro time window, 9:36. All right. So pressing forward. Right, so one thing I want to see here is where's 1R. So pretty much 1R already, which I go break even at 1R. I'm slightly hesitant to do that because I feel like it might retest and then continue without me. Well, stopped at break even. So here I should have maybe just given it a little bit of wiggle room. All right. Target acquired. So cool. So I wasn't hesitant on this trade. Man. Make a note here. A little below IFVG. But still nice to have an accurate read on the session. So we can keep going. Oh, the other thing I was going to do is I was going to be trading the PM sessions too on the days where I didn't get a trade in. So we'll keep going. So the AM session has built up all this trend line liquidity down in here. I would imagine one of two things: either it's going to roll over and take it now, or it'll consolidate and do a lunch trade setup, which I'll show that once it actually happens. But for now, let's just push these candles forward and see what happens. So here price is accumulating after an expansion. All right, so here's a val technically of let's see if it's there's a here's a continuation setup. Let's see if there's SMT. So I'm not really seeing, well, there's an SMT right there. So here's an SMT. It's in the 11 o'clock macro. We took a 5-minute devil's mark. So I'm hesitant on this trade, I'm not going to lie. So I just don't think it's deep enough into discount. Devil's mark below on the 15-minute. 1 hour, we have a devil's mark. So I'm going to hesitantly skip this trade because of it's a continuation setup, not deep into discount. F very G's and devil's mark below. And this previous candle has pretty much fulfilled this gap. So for the moment, I'm actually gonna, I think I'm gonna skip this one. I still want something, I just don't want this one. I don't know what you think. Is this gonna win or is it gonna lose? Devil's mark on this one. So this will looking like it's going to be a break-even trade. Yeah, so it's I need to add a column for break-even here. All right, so that one was a break-even or loser, depending on how you manage your stop. I go break-even at 1R, which is what that would have given. All right, so pushing forward. Okay. Coming into the end of the AM session, I don't take trades really after. All right, so what do we got here? So here's 1150. Here we have, I don't like this trend line below, but we do have a devil's mark right there. We do have, we've taken this devil's mark. We have tapped into this 15-minute fair value gap right there, just barely. So this 1 hour has been tapped into this gap here, and then this 1 hour devil's mark. So that makes me feel more confident about being willing to engage with something here. However, kind of have an unconfirmed SMT because these are two 15-minute candles. This latest candle has not closed. All right, so my goal is to take, 50% more of the trades I'm hesitant on. In this case here, this is a trade where I am a little hesitant on. Especially because of all this liquidity below. Time-wise, it could just be going for a lunch consolidation. So I'm gonna say this one is hesitant and I'm gonna execute on it. It's hesitant because of it's 1150 because of fair value gap still open below and trend line and model. So those are three reasons why I would grade this more like an B plus setup. Let's see. Got me, huh? So here's an example where I wouldn't have taken it and I took a loss. That doesn't exactly mean a ton because ultimately, you know, it could have just been by chance that the first one I took was a loser, but then I'll take 3 winners that I wouldn't have normally taken. So, um, so at this point, let's go to the 15-minute chart maybe. And then we'll mark mark out the PM session, and I'll save this as all right, so let's fast forward. So price retested. Here was probably the reversal. So I don't think there was going to be a 230 reversal, but let's see. So here's this lunch trade. And then distribution again. We can see we took out all the morning liquidity. Usually it doesn't come all the way down to there, but just consolidating. Three o'clock. So we're pretty much the end of the session. I'm not seeing anything here. Okay, cool. So that was it. We took one loss, and I was off sides right here, and then this break even setup, which that's a bummer. That really is. It was a beautiful trade, and I guess why I'm bummed is I mentioned it, like, oh, I should maybe not tuck my stop up and just give it a little breathing room, and sure enough. So, anyways, so that means we are down 1R today. down 1R on today. Okay, so let's move on. Tuesday, let's see here. We have a 10 a.m. Chair Powell testifies. All right, so zooming out to the daily, Monday closed a bullish candle. Still don't have a tail on today's candle, so we might expect to see that comes down and puts a tail on that candle. We have taken this significant high, but not this high. So I want to denote those. So here we can see expansion, the 4-hour, 2 a.m. took liquidity. So here I would, to some extent, expect a retracement, but doesn't have to because of the high right above. It might just act like a magnet and draw it into it first. So on all assets, this gap down here is remaining unfilled. Currently forming a bullish SMT, confirmed on the 4-hour, but I'm not sure it'll hold. All right, so here on the 1-hour, we see London tapped into this gap, and now we're just kind of consolidating sideways. $9.30 and what did we say? 12? 10. Actually, I want to, maybe I'll just do the 1-minute time frame. All right, so we're zooming into the 1 minute. We can see London low has been swept. I kind of feel like this is going to be a New York Open Classic profile. Like New York's going to come down, sweep liquidity, form the low of the day, and then take London for the high of the day. That's just my thought. We shall see. 930 is kind of forming this accumulation range here. Kind of a big, broad one like that. Look at that 915 candle, something there. All right, coming up to 930. So 930 is making one of these, a little order block. That's actually a breaker model with a little inversion. I don't trust it. And I can't even say it's my model. There's kind of no real fair value gap. It just took 15-minute liquidity. So I'm gonna skip this. I think I'm gonna still record it. And this was just not exactly my model. 9:30 on the dot. no higher time frame gaps, etc. Just sideways. So yeah, we'll let that play out. Glad I did. So this was a loser. Maybe 9:30 is going to do a little seek and destroy before Powell speaks. Testifies, whatever that is. Okay, no real movement so far from that 10 a.m. Okay. So here we're just kind of getting some seek and destroy. So here was an inversion, but there's just, I don't know if I'd like, there's trades like that all the time. I don't know if I should record them. I'm going to say not. If it's not at least meeting a majority of my requirements, I'm not going to record it. Ugly AM session. Price just continuing to accumulate. In this case here, I feel like I was going to say I feel like fast forwarding to the PM session, but I should go at least a little ways into the 11 o'clock hour and see if there's something. The price is just floating. All right, close enough to noon that I think I can call it there. So let's go out to the 15-minute chart. Let's find 130. Let's fast forward by 15-minute candles. Look at that. So I don't have a model there, thankfully. Otherwise, I was going to say, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. It happened after 12. Um, all right, so there's 115. All right, let's look at ES and YM, see what they're doing. Similar kind of thing. So that's not an, that's just a volume imbalance. I don't even have an inversion here technically. So I don't, actually, I thought I did. I don't. So there is no trade for me here. I'm guessing it's going to probably run for all-time highs. They're just above. Yeah, look at that. All-time high right there. I doubt there's going to be anything here for me because I'm not going to short all-time highs, and we're in the 250 macro, and uh, we're not in discount where I can long. So okay, so technically here was probably a setup. 1 minute outside of macro. There's no inversion there. So yeah, there's no setup for me. So what do we have today? No inversion there. That's during lunchtime. I don't trade. So here was the one setup in, it wasn't even a setup. So I had no setups today. There was nothing that came even close enough that I had to sit there and question it. So we are flat on today. All right, we keep going to Wednesday, 10 a.m. Fed Chair Powell testifies. Okay, and I don't know why it's showing the calendar all of a sudden. Um, calendar. Hmm. I don't know, but I guess we'll just deal with the calendar being there. I don't know. So obviously we're gapping up, took the previous all-time high. For me, it's just bullish until it's not. So, the 4 hour overnight came down into the gap and discontinued. So we'll just have to assume bullish delivery. Same thing with the 1 hour. Not that it can't reverse, which sucks, but I'm not going to short this. All right, so here's 12 a.m. $9:30. And I might put the all-time high on here. That seems significant enough, and I can't easily see it. When I zoom out. So let's go into the 1 minute and get started. It looks like it's prime for shorts. I'm not going to lie. All right, it comes 9:30. Boom. So here we do make a giant inversion. This is a breaker inversion. It's really not my formation. Here's a volume imbalance, equal lows. It's kind of a 15-minute continuation model. There is bearish SMT. This is just so far off of my model, I can't really call it a setup. All right. Just fine. I would have been probably stopped out had I entered. Not very clean. Okay. Same kind of thing here. This is not a typical formation. I have all this inefficiency above me. My stop loss would be huge. I really can't even take this. Okay. So here's a 5-minute continuation. There's SMT. I'm torn on the 5-minute because it's not technically, I don't have that written in my rules, but I kind of sometimes do it. So I'm going to count this as one of those trades that I'm not confident in. And I'm not going to take. So let's see here. So I'm going to hesitant on this one and I'm going to skip. And it's 5-minute continuation trade. All-time highs were taken. And before Powell testify. So I don't know what you think. Yeah, that's about where I would have put my stop loss, give or take some. So in this case, it was a loser. Oh, interesting. Just put this red dot there. Is that there the whole time? Or is that after? Wild. I don't know. All right, so let's see what happens. I don't have much faith in this price action, actually. If it wants to dump down into a 1-hour gap, I might be interested. Exactly. Right there. No inversion, though. Okay, a little stop hunt locally. All right, price is just consolidating. So here's so there. I just saw an inversion, but again, I'm not shorting all-time highs. I'm just checking it out. There's no levels or anything. So here, price is just going sideways. That short would have played out, but it had absolutely no levels for me. Because I don't really count, like, here's this fair value gap on the 5-minute. It's already been ran through a couple of times. I'm not counting that. All right, so here's an example of a trade that I would be hesitant in, where we tapped into a 1-hour volume imbalance. 15-minute C3 candle, we didn't take that low. We did tap that. That being a devil's mark. So there is SMT. and it's outside of macro. So no go on that. Inside of macro. I'm skipping it. You know, my gut tells me this is just a bad trade. So let's say I marketed in on that candle and I did something like this. Okay, offside. So hesitant skip was a loser. I'm gonna say all-time highs taken. I'm documenting this trade here. All-time highs taken for PA. Okay. Yep. So in this case, like I can't short all-time highs. There wasn't even anything clean that I could have gotten into a short. That's okay. All-time highs beget new all-time highs, so I'm just going to be patient and wait for longs. Okay. So here we go. What do we got here? We got another long. Tapped into this order block. So ES and YM are both falling. We have bullish SMT here. Targets are not great. So this one I'm definitely fairly split on. I'm not a concrete no and I'm not a concrete yes. So we've come below this 1 hour gap, and maybe that's my. But here's this 1 hour volume imbalance, and that's right here. Little tiny volume imbalance, but these things are powerful. I've seen it time and time again where price comes into them just like this. You know, it comes through the gap, rebalances. Down into there. So we have a 1 hour volume imbalance. Here's a 4 hour candle. My gut tells me not to take it. It's going to continue bearishly for that 4 hour gap below and retest 12 a.m. So I'm going to not take it. I think. Gosh, I'm actually pretty split on this one. I might. And it's similar to the loss I took the other day on Monday, where I was doing a 15-minute model because it came into a 15-minute gap around the same time, and then I was expecting continuation. Given that the AM has been bearish, I'll give it a shot. So I'm going to be hesitant and I'm going to execute. So all-time highs taken. mini gaps below. So let's see. Okay, retesting. I'm off sides. There's a little volume imbalance right there, so it might be coming for that. I don't really want to move my stop too much though. Just like that's fine. Ooh, what did it do? Okay. Yep, consolidating. All right, so that is a loser. So far, show you this chart. I need to make this, the only winner was, and I really need to change this. I'll do this. I'll add a column. I'll make it, what size is that? 60. Okay, so here's a winner. So these are the trades. This over here, I don't want to do green, but let's call them blue, are the trades I just think I should take. And over here are the trades I'm cautious of so far. We look at this. We enter an average as a percentage. Um, 80% of the trades I don't want to take have been losers. So even right here is an interesting experiment. I have taken two. And it just, so far, is showing me that my instinct is actually pretty all right. And so I'm curious, like I was taking more of them. So this one was, I'm just gonna make a note, 1 hour volume, IMB, everything, hesitant. So just a couple notes for me when I come back and look at this. So yeah, let's see what happens. So at this point, let's zoom out to the 15-minute chart. And we'll go to the PM. And like I was saying, I was curious if it was coming down for midnight. So here's a C2 at 12:45. All right, we might have missed it right there. But I don't trade 1250 macro, and there's no inversion there anyways. It might be a 130. I don't really know. Nothing's clear. Oh, right there, a 1 hour fair value gap. Right there. And here's the inversion, 130, 131, close below. The short was right there. I just missed it. That's a nice looking long, potentially. Okay. So we're outside of macro. Took all of this liquidity, tapped into the volume imbalance, 12 a.m. So in this case, the whole morning session, sellers have been in profit. So I missed the short. I didn't see it. So here with this long, man, it looks nice, but it's outside of my macro. All right. So 150, now that's a breaker. All right, so this one I'm definitely a little hesitant on, but I'm going to execute. So all-time highs taken. Bearish AM against order flow. Think offsides. Oh, I got to check for SMT before I do anything. So we swept all of these lows. All right, so let's see here. So we do have bullish SMT. And this is where it could be starting to roll over. And in real life, I feel like I'd wait. So I'm going to do the same just because the pattern so far is playing out pretty well that if I don't take it, or that my gut is relatively right. So I'm going to avoid this one trade. And let's see what happens. Because this is not, I would just skip this session if it were real. And here we go. Look at that. Offsides. So now we're at 83% of the time. The trades that I don't want to take are losers. So, all right, heading into 2 o'clock. Let's keep going. Excuse me, consolidation. And I'll also want to look to see what plays out here a little bit, because if it's a matter of my stop not being at the swing, then maybe I'll document that. But at this point, it's just going sideways long enough that, nah. So we're just going to count this as a loser. All right, so I think that's pretty much 3 o'clock, near the end of the session. I think I'm going to call that a day. What happened today? We had one loss, I think. And this is, I'm bummed because these were all partials. That was a break-even trade, and this was like a partial W and a partial W, and I hate that because of, and even on this Monday, that one trade I didn't get, that would have been 3R, and it makes such a difference, So my 3R trades allow me to take, 3 losses for every one, and I haven't had a good trade this month. So still delivering bullishly after taking all-time highs. Right there. Despite the bearish delivery yesterday, it did close bullish. Interesting. So we gapped up, took previous day high. So that's now we have another layer of bearish. We took previous day high. We have a devil's mark below, a fair value gap. We've swept internal. The 2 a.m. candle is swept in external range of liquidity. 6 a.m. candle's just a compression. The 1 hour is just kind of floating up. I'm confused. Yesterday, that long, 1:30. I want to go back and look at that on the 1 minute. I forget what happened. So here, the 8 a.m. did tap into this fair value gap. So now in the 15 minute, here's 12 a.m. Here's 9:30. Oh, it went sideways. That's right. So the long that we were looking at was correct. It just didn't do anything for until market opened up. So let's see here. It did eventually go, but it was still like you would have sat in that trade all day. Oof. So I would have been break even on that trade potentially if I just stuck into it. Well, I would have, the way I positioned my stop loss, I get stopped out because I would have put it. Right, it was above this breaker. Yeah, I would have been stopped out even if I had taken it. So, all right, mystery solved. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. We had the 8:30 news. We have a It's like a 9 o'clock orange folder. I don't even pay attention to those. All right, 9:30. Looks like we're just seeing some indecision on the first two candles. All right, liquidity sweep. Going for more sell side. I want to see it drop down. Ooh, boy, what's that? That's like, can't really call that an inversion. Like, you kind of can. It's just so tiny, but then here's this volume imbalance. Um, so YM is pushing up, ES is in the middle, NQ is consolidating. That makes a bullish SMT. Into the 12 a.m., into the tailless candle, into the 1 hour fair value gap, into the 4 hour fair value gap. If this thing's going to continue on bullishly, this is it. So this is where I probably wouldn't take it, because I would typically consider this IFVG to be super small. We don't have equal highs up here. We do have relative equal highs up here. So I'm hesitant, but I think I can execute on this one. So here at all-time highs, really the kicker is IFVG is small with volume imbalance. We have this kind of consolidation right up in here. So I feel like I'm offsides. Well, not to say I feel offsides. I feel like it wants to dig deeper, is what what I'm wondering. But it's a 1 hour C3. It's a 15-minute. Looks like it's starting to be a 15-minute C2. So let's see. close enough that I think I can just take it. So, I would grade this as a trade. There's just one thing I kind of see wrong with it. All right. Don't like that. Okay. So there's 1R. I'm going break even. Although it's just shallow of 1R probably, but there's 1R. All right. So let's see what happens here. TP3 up there. Ooh, dang. So close. All right. 3R. So there was a winner. So let's see here. So I noted this one to be a hesitant trade I executed on. One winner. And really, if I'm executing, it's a low A trade, low A grade trade. Skip is a B trade. Okay, so far, and this isn't a lot of data. Like there was a week earlier in the month, there were like 4 B setups that won. So I'm really curious to see what comes of this data. I just wish I would have thought to track it and not take the trades and just have the data and then come back and adjust my trading methodology. Because I took these 2 losses earlier in the week, taking the lower quality setups, which were well, now I forget that I didn't mark ones I actually took. Or wait, no, I took this one as a loss. I took this one as a loss, right? All right. Oh, so I wonder what happens after this. Price retraces a little bit. Maybe it starts accumulating. And continues on its merry little way. Cool. So all right, I'm up 1R on the week. This month is not turning out to be a very good month for me. But it's super interesting. This is data. I'm just gathering data. And I think that's totally awesome. So yeah, let's move on. All righty. Let's do, we'll go to, that's Thursday. Go to the start of the New York session. And wow. So still just pushing higher. This is why I just don't ever short all-time highs. I mean, bullish, fair value gap, volume imbalance, taking the previous day high. Here on the 4-hour chart, the 2 a.m. candle is always of significance to me. The 2 a.m. is just pushing higher, creating a gap below, possibly a little volume imbalance, like a very tiny volume imbalance. 1 hour. All right, so 1 hour change in state of delivery, potentially maybe just a small retracement and then a continuation. That's my guess until it changes otherwise. So let's look at ES and YM. Similar kind of posture right there. Come on. Don't know why it's not dragging. There we go. YM, not quite the same. So we do have a bullish SMT down here. 1 hour gap. Right there. So bullish, bullish, bullish. Here's 12 a.m. Friday was an 830 core PCE. And so to me, it looks like a New York classic profile where New York's going to form the reversals, I would imagine. So I'm going to imagine price is going to come down into this 1 hour gap, retest it, retest midnight, and likely keep going. That's my guess. Typically want to see price consolidating prior to 9:30. Instead, it's kind of moving. But it is creating some nice trend line liquidity right there. Taking London low right there. All right, couple minutes to 9:30. Okay. So let's see what we got here. So took all this liquidity, tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap, got these equal lows. Took I was gonna say took out both those fair value gaps, balanced out both those fair value gaps. SMT down here at these lows. Didn't come for this volume imbalance. $15-minute form to C2. So if this is a C3, then I guess I'm okay with it. So really, I would consider this pretty high quality setup. So we got the macro, the 930. I think it's a go. I think my only hesitation here on this trade, if I'm thinking through it, is it didn't come down to the 4-hour gaps. And even though it's just back testing psychologically, if I lose this trade, I'll end the week red. So not the worst thing. But let's go. Ooh, I don't like it. Okay, so I'm going to tuck my stop up to there. Okay, let's see here. So we're starting to distribute away. There's 1R. Okay, so it retested. I don't, and this is interesting, so I don't think it's going to go. But I don't want to go to break even because I will probably get stopped out. I think it's going to roll over, so I'm going to go break even. It's just not distributing with the volatility that I want to see when I'm in a trade. So I'm okay with, and I accept this trade rolling over and tapping me out at break even and continuing on without me. See these candles? They're just not going anywhere. Oh, finally. All right. So where's our target? Way up there, which is above this liquidity zone, or this swing. So I don't know. We shall see. Okay, so we got some violence here. Now the question is, am I being greedy? 3R is my target because that's how the math works. But is that what the charts want to give me? Beautiful. So that did give 3R. So we end Friday on a 3R winner. Cool. I'm just gonna, so this trade I'm adding over here to this column, I really wasn't hesitant on the setup itself. It fit bias. Setup was relatively clean, and I took it. The only hesitation that I did have was not wanting to end the week, quote unquote, red. So I'm going to add that over here. So far, 100% of the trades I was confident in. So I guess I should say confident. And executed, 100% of them were winners. Oops. Insert average, turn it into a percentage. Zero decimals. There we go. All right, so then let's recap the week here. Refresh this. All right, so ending the week up roughly 4R, a little shy of 4R, I guess that would be 250, 250, 250. Yeah, little 3.7R or something like that. That's not too shabby. Should have been much better though, because on the very first day, I got tapped out of that winner by a tick with my break-even stop, and then I accrued a loss. So really, it should be 4R more, or not should be, but had that not have gone that way, because if you remember, I said, oh man, maybe I shouldn't tuck my stop up there quite yet. I was even thinking that ahead of time. This would have been an 8R week, which would have been amazing. So today was a winner. And the overall themes for this week was interesting. So we're at all-time highs and still not many setups. All B setups failed, or most all B setups failed. And then the mistakes I made is thinking to wait on moving stop loss to B before news. Tapped out of W trade. So that was the mistake I made. Oops, cancel. The other mistake I made, taking B setups for experiment instead of just collecting data, then changing how I trade. I guess part of it was I thought it would be more entertaining taking more setups for this video, but because heck, it was getting boring for me. These first 2 weeks were just brutal, slow. So yeah, I guess that actually ends this month, and we can check out where that puts the end of this month. So let's do June here. So 71% win rate, not too bad. Lower P&L than some of my other better months, but still acceptable, especially if cross copied accounts. If this was, 4 or 5 50Ks, that'd be, 6 grand. Well, do the math, more than that. Interesting, these 2 losses were both trades I really didn't want to take, but did for that experiment. So had I followed my gut, I would have had a 100% win rate this month. And I'd have a much higher P&L actually, like we just talked about. So that's pretty okay. Kind of shows to me like there's something too slow and steady. And it can get hard to be slow and steady. Like during these periods, I was just like so bored. And then even through the end of this week, I was still kind of like, this is not really feeling like trading. And then this week here, again, had that Monday could have been very different. This whole week could have been up $1,800 or so. Well, call it $1,500. Or more than that, because that's minus 300. So yeah, it would have been 1,200 extra on top of that. It would have been a $2,000 week probably, which would have made it my biggest month yet. But of course, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm still pretty pleased with these results, all things considered, especially how this year started out. So I'll take it. I think that ends this. Yeah, I'll end this episode because I'll add this 30th day of June into the next month, July, just because it starts off Monday, and I'll be doing a fresh charting session. So right on. Appreciate you watching.